Well, I went on through school and was very driven to be a pianist and to perform on stages. Funny how that worked out, isn't it? And I used to practice and practice and practice because I was driven. I had a goal. And isn't that what you have to do every day? When you have the goal, doesn't mean you like it. Doesn't mean it's convenient. But if you're going to make the goal, you have to do the practicing. And that's what I did. Every day practicing. Nobody had to make me do it. I had the goal. I set the goal for myself. Have any of you ever tried to get your child to practice and they didn't want to practice? They didn't see the goal. They didn't see what it was that they could accomplish. So by the time I got out of school, I had a degree in piano, and then I got a master's degree in choral conducting. And I thought I was ready for life, that everything was going to work out fine. Isn't that what they told you? You're going to, grow up and go to school and get a good job and everything will be fine. How many know it's not fine now? I understand you have this wonderful term here called redundant. This is correct. This happens to people. So I thought, what's happened now? I have all these degrees and everything should be good, and it wasn't good. And I had 2 young children. They were 4 and 7. And someone showed me this business. And I didn't believe it. So if you're here for the first time today and you're wondering, is this true? Could it possibly be? I'll tell you. I'm 1,860 years old now, and it's really true. So from the time I started till now, it's 26 years, I've never seen a business that has more possibility for you for the future than this. And I've been offered hundreds of businesses. I'm sure Trevor and Graham and Hillary have too. Buy companies, get into companies, but I've never seen anything with this kind of potential. So you are an absolutely perfect place for this. But I was checking everything, looking over everything, wondering, would this thing work? And I remember thinking, boy, this better work out or I'm going to kill somebody. Because they tell you all these things and how you should work and everything. So I go to my first convention. Now, first of all, they told me we had to go to a convention in Portland. Now, for me, in good weather, that was 4 hours. But we had a lot of snow in Oregon. And so in bad weather, that could be 6 hours. How long is it going to take you to get to Gothenburg? Depends on if you swim or fly, I guess. But, it's a ways. And it's a commitment for you to think about. Should I go? Is it really worth it to go? Well, this is how I had to go. Number one, it dawned on me one day that if I were going to have any money at all to build any kind of a business, I had to sell products. What a phenomenal idea. So I began to get some retail clients and to sell products so that I had the money for my meetings and for my tapes and my tickets. But I didn't count on needing money for a hotel room. So I drove over there in my Volkswagen, and I slept in the Volkswagen at the meeting. 2 nights. It's a little cold in the winter in Oregon. But you know what? If you have a goal, you can do it. And when I would take the kids, I always made sure I arranged babysitting in the town where we were going. Much cheaper. And I'm with the kids all the way there. Arranged babysitting there. And then I took the kids on a special treat afterwards. And I would always tell them, kids, this is going to be so much fun. We're going to go camping in the city. You've never been camping in the city before. It's really fun to go camping in the city. So we'd pack a little lunch, and we'd take their little sleeping bags and everything, and I'd take them over to the babysitters, and then when we were done, I'd smile, thank you very much, and then we'd go back and park in a gas station overnight, and we'd camp in the city. And they're all, if mom thinks it's fun, they think it's fun. Hello? Right? If you're acting like it's a drag, it's a drag. But if you think it's fun, they think it's fun. So we had picnics in the car. We had camping in the car. Oh, by the way, this is a Volkswagen. Some of you are too young to remember that, but they were called Bugs appropriately. And I used to wear one. You just put it on and you stir it up and you take it to work. Literally, the first day I drove it, I couldn't figure out reverse because I didn't know about that push down thing. So I just got it neutral and I got out and I pushed the car around the direction I needed to go. It was very easy, actually. It wasn't a problem at all. Then got it in the first gear to take off. But that's how I started. Do any of you feel encouraged yet? So when you talk about, I have no time and I have no money, I always say, I'll match you. I was teaching full-time in a university. I taught 35 piano students every week. I would go back to the college and teach 4 nights of night school. And then I directed community theater on Saturdays. And then at church on Sunday, I played the organ and directed the choir. Tell me you're busier than that. And then no money. Remember me? I'm already in the hole every month. So when they told me we could make $400, I was extremely excited because that's exactly how much I was in the hole every month. I made $800. I had $1,200 worth of bills. So even a music teacher can figure out, hey, if I had $400, I could just like get even, you know? So I realized I didn't know much about business. I could tell you all about Beethoven and Bach and the boys, but I didn't know anything about business. But suddenly it dawned on me, they have a school. Today you are in school. And isn't it nice you can chew gum in this school? You know, you can drink a coffee, you can have a water. Hopefully you don't, talk to each other or you have your cell phone on. But, this is a relaxed school. But you are learning. And the best part about this school is you don't have to get a loan to come to it. And you can make money while you are in school. That's a good kind of school, isn't it? And so we create our own capital as we go. So however much your budget is that you need every month, whether it's, money for babysitting or money for gas in your car, I think you need that here. It's very expensive, your gas here, I think. And so whatever it is that you need, then create it out of your clients. And hello, what's happening to your PV all the time? Oh, it's going up at the same time. So when I finally got that through my very thick and stubborn head, things began to happen and things started to grow. So I began to dream about the future and what it could be. And the children had very specific responsibilities. Paul was 4. His job was to deliver the orders to the neighbors. Now, I lived out of town a little ways, and so when somebody ran out of dishwasher soap, they didn't go to the store, they called Beverly. And so Paul would run down to their house and give them the dishwasher soap. The key thing was I had it where? On hand. It wasn't, I can order that for you. I had it on hand because that was a customer. So he'd go down there, and the joke was, I'd always say, Paul, make sure you get the check. They'd always give him candy, cute little boy. I said, forget the candy, I need the check, That's the way it was with the piano students, too. Some weeks they paid, and some weeks they didn't pay. So that was always our little joke. So Paul would deliver the orders. Debbie's job at 7 was to answer the phone nicely and take the orders. Do you know children can answer the phone well if you train them? Hi, this is Debbie speaking. May I take your order, please? So she'd write it all down, and then he'd deliver the order to the neighbors. So they each had specific jobs. And when I went out to show the plan, it was a reward for them because they got to go to a friend's house. I found a mother whose husband worked late at night, and she had 2 children my kids' age, and I would take the kids over there with their sleeping bags, more inconvenient for me, but more fun for them. A mom that I knew would take care of them, and they would stay there, and she'd help them with their homework and tuck them in their little bags, and I'd come in about midnight, pick them up in their bags, and carry them home. Difficult, but worth it, because I wanted to make sure my children were taken care of, and they were having a good time at the same time. But we had goals all the way along. When Mom hits 15%, you can spend $15 in the catalog. And when we go silver, you get a silver bike. So I made sure the day we hit silver that they each got a new silver bike. That was a big deal. I said, okay, now we're going to work really hard. And when we go emerald, we're going to Hawaii. You know how long that took? 4 years later. 4 years later. It's good for children to wait. It's good for them to work on a goal. How many times does your son or daughter want something, you stomp their feet a little bit or put their lip out so you get it for them? But teaching them that delayed gratification was one of the most important lessons that they learned about life. That things don't come easy and they don't come quickly. And so 4 years later, we went to Hawaii as a family and had a great time. Saw the whales and just, really enjoyed ourselves. Rented a helicopter to look around the islands. Wonderful time. So I said, okay, kids, we're going to go back home and work. And when we go diamond, we're going to come back to Hawaii, and you can each bring a friend. Suddenly they had very many friends. But I said they don't qualify as a friend unless they're buying from us or they're in our business. Yeah? And you know what? It's amazing. It's amazing how they could prospect. This was the deal I made with them. How many of you know what a prospecting tape is? You know what those are. I said, if you get the tape to one of your friends' parents or to a teacher, I'll give you $10. If I get the plan in front of them, you get $25. So Debbie would go to her teacher and say, you have a very bad car. You need to talk to my mother. Kids can get away with this. It's amazing. 4 years later, we went diamond. And I remember the day before we left on our trip, I was asked to speak by the company for a regional event. Now I'm a brand new diamond, I'm single, I'm scared to death. I know you can't believe that, but it was in 1841 or something, it's a long time ago. So I'm standing up on this stage with this huge crowd on the Long Beach Arena, and here on the front row is Rich DeVos. And next to him is a couple I hadn't met yet, Jim and Nancy Dornan. And I'm a brand new diamond. And I was telling about my dream of taking my children to Hawaii, and that they each had brought a friend, and that we were leaving the next day. So we're up very early in the morning. You know how it is before a really cool trip. You don't sleep at all, do you? You jump on, pack one more thing, you look at everything again, you don't sleep at all. So we're up early the next morning. We're all dressed in our Hawaiian outfits, and we have on our sunglasses and our sun hats, and we're the typical Hawaiian tourists. We're ready to go. So we're standing out in front of the hotel, each of the children with their friend, and we're looking for the bus to take us to the airport. No bus comes. We're waiting. I said, "Where's the bus?" And the bellman says, "There's no bus this time of morning." I said, "There has to be a bus. We've been working on this goal for 4 years. We cannot miss that plane." I'm thinking about all those late charges and changing flights, which I couldn't afford and all that. And he said, "No, there's no bus." And the children start crying, "Mom, we've worked so hard for this goal. We can't miss our plane because we don't have a way to get to the airport." And then the bellman says, "Yes, but this was ordered for you." And I look over, and a big, long, white limousine comes up to the hotel. The kids, I'm standing with my teeth hanging out, thinking, who's going to pay for that? And the kids just jump in the car. They open the windows, they got the Cokes going. "Come on, Mom, we're going to Hawaii." They're just waving out the top of the car. And about that time, I hear a voice behind me. "Would you like me to take a picture?" It was Rich DeVos. And he had ordered the car. And I was so excited, I handed him the camera. He took our picture, and I forgot to take his picture. But we grow, don't we? We change and we grow. But the journey is worth it. At the time, you think, this is so hard, I can never make this. I don't see how this will ever work. But as I look at my children now, my son's 29, my daughter's 33, their lives have been shaped by this business and by the people and the associations that they've met. When Debbie decided to go on a big tour of the UK a few years ago, she hung out at Derek and Pat's house. And my daughters also met Trevor and Jackie in other places in the world. And so has my son. So those kind of treasures, how can you measure that? And ladies, especially, you need to think about that. Because so many times, well, we're going to do this and it'll take time away from my children. Well, let's look at what your children are really learning. What are they learning about these kind of skills in school? What kind of things are they learning about money management? What are they learning about goal setting? What are they learning about values? And that's what they can learn in this business. So the incredible journey of it is really a big part of it. I know you don't believe that. Think, no, it's the destination. But it is who you become along the way. Well, I remember when I was still teaching at the university, I had lots of wonderful piano students. We'd lay out all of their plans and what they had to study and to practice so that they could get ready to do their junior recitals, their senior recitals. And invariably, about 25% of them at least would come up either in their first year or second year and say, "I can't stay in school." I said, "Why not? You're ready. We've got your whole program going. You're so talented. I don't have any more money." I was able to save enough up until this time. But practicing takes so much. They have to practice 4 hours a day at least. I said, the practicing takes so much, I can't continue and work and get what I need done. And that became my goal. I said, when I make it, when I become a diamond, I'm going to give scholarships to young people like this who have the talent and the ability and no one to help them. Because, see, it's pretty easy to get a scholarship if you're a rocket scientist, especially now if you're in genetics or something like this, but not for musicians. I guess in sports you could get a scholarship. But for musicians, it's a little more difficult because there used to be the royalty took care of the musicians, didn't they? In the old days, not now. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give scholarships to these young people. And I cannot tell you how rewarding that is. But here's what will amaze me. Now, you probably won't do it because you're very smart people. But I will get up and teach a seminar in a weekend like this and teach about how to make money, how to make this business work, and how I made my dreams come true, and how I gave scholarships. And you know what will happen at the end of the seminar? Someone will come up and ask me to give them a scholarship. And I go, hello? What was it that I did there? If I have business in 49 countries and I go to all those places and tell all those people that, can I give scholarships to 49 countries to every student who needs it? What am I trying to teach? A principle that says if you will do this and if you will do the work, you can give as many scholarships as you want. Right? I mean, there are not enough Bill Gates in the world to solve everybody's problems, are there? So the goal becomes, how do we shift our mind from being a person who works for someone else to working for ourselves and taking principles that are given to us to apply it for what we want? That's really the difference. But if you have a job mentality of, how much are you going to pay me? I haven't had a raise in 3 years. I'm better than the next guy. Rather than saying, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to be free. I'm going to build a life that I plan for myself. That's really the difference. So it becomes a mentality which you have to shift in your own mind to becoming a person who is free and an enterpriser rather than an employee of somebody else. One of the first really great dreams about those scholarships was a young man from the Ukraine. And I'm so excited now that we can have business in the Ukraine because I know his associates around and we're sponsoring them. But this young man, when I met him from Minsk, was 21 years old. He spoke 7 languages. And he was invited to the U.S. for a music festival, and I gave him a scholarship to come. And is an incredible organist. Now, when I met him, it was before the wall came down. So all the churches were closed in Moscow. I said, how in the world did you practice when you were in a place where there were no organs at all? He said, well, one time a week, they would let me go to this one cathedral, the only cathedral open in Moscow for the tourists, and I got to practice for a half an hour. I said, how did you practice the rest of the time? He said, I built an organ model in my little house. And he did it with a table and with bricks on different levels, and he made a keyboard to scale 4 levels high for the manuals and then the full pedal on the floor. And he practiced on that, on the bricks and the paper for 8 hours a day. I said, how could you do that? He said, Beverly, I can hear the music in my mind. And that's what you do when you go out there. You're drawing things on paper. It doesn't look real, but you are drawing dreams on that paper for people. Well, in the house that I had in Seattle, which you'll see a picture of it later, there was a pipe organ, 44 ranks, if you know anything about pipe organs, which is like something like 4,000 pipes. And I brought him to that house. It took him a little while. He fiddled all around with all of the stops and everything, but he finally got it like he wanted. And then he sat down and he played Bach for an hour and a half, completely memorized. And I sat on the steps and watched him, and I thought, I wonder what the nodes are doing today. They are not realizing the joy that I'm knowing today because I struggled and worked hard and slept in my Volkswagen. Could I sit and watch this young man make music like this? Well, later on in that same house, I was told about a young man who was an excellent pianist in Russia. But because of communism, he had never been allowed out of Russia, although he had won many international prizes. But his first trip out, no one knew about him because he'd been inside of Russia. They asked me if he could do a concert at my house. I said, absolutely. So he came. We filled the house with about 500 people. His name was Yuri Rozum. And after his concert was over, I invited all of Paul's friends over. And so they sat and talked to him and asked him what life was like in Russia for all of those years. What kind of measure can you put on that kind of history lesson for your child? How do you even say what that's about? It was just amazing. Well, I now live in Orange County in California, a long ways away from Seattle where that house was. And I never heard from him again, never knew what happened to him or anything. And all of a sudden I'm looking, I have a season ticket holder at the Orange County Symphony. And all of a sudden I look on the playbill and there it says, Yuri Rozum, concert pianist with the Moscow Symphony. I thought, this is really cool. So I bought 2 tickets and I went down, and as soon as he saw me, he said, Beverly, it is so wonderful to see you again. And this was, I started counting up, that was 14 years ago that happened. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave me. How do you measure that in dollars or in pounds? You don't. It's a feeling that you get because you worked hard. You gave of yourself when it was difficult to give of yourself. You did something that maybe 99% of the people will not do. Now, I'm not saying you should give music scholarships. I don't know, but you know what? There's something that each of you are supposed to do that's very important. And it's not about you, and it's not about your family. You take care of them first. But outside of that is a group of people that need you. It may be refugees. It may be homeless people. It may be addicts. I don't know. For me, it's orphans. But you will find something that's bigger than you that you need to work on and that you need to do. So I went to a group in December called the Maui Mastermind. This is a group of real estate investors. The leader of it's Diane Kennedy, who is Robert Kiyosaki's accountant. So you know she's good, or she wouldn't be his accountant. And she invited me to come and speak. And I said, why do you want me to come and speak about real estate? She said, no, Beverly, I'm going to show them how to make money. And I want you to show them how to give it away. I said, I can do that all day long. So now, I want you to listen to the value of this now. I don't know what you paid for today, but it wasn't very much. These people, for 1 week of training in real estate investing, paid $25,000 US a piece. And there were 70 of them there. And they were working together in teams to put together real estate properties. And of course, one of the things that's so incredible about what Kiyosaki has done for us is to show us we've got to go from that left side of the quadrant to the right to create money so that we can invest. Because people try to go from the left side, it doesn't work. So she had just finished on Sunday giving a speech on being a billionaire. I had not been there all week. I was in another part of Hawaii with my family, so I just flew in at the last minute. And after her speech on how to be a billionaire, I came up and gave a speech about taking a part of your business foundation from the beginning and building in a charitable part. And saying that we teach people to get out of debt. We also teach them about child sponsorship so that immediately they're thinking outside of themselves and thinking about a way to help. You know, there's an old proverb that says, he who takes care of the poor lends to God. I'd rather